Hi, I'm Dave Crane. Now I also do gigs like this. And I can train you to be able to work with people like this. And then you also can do gigs like this. Come join me and we'll take your speaking to a whole new level. Good morning, how are you? My name's Dave. You can see it's Dave because it says so on the packet. I hope you're well today. This is Speak on Stage. You go live across LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, and I put stuff on Instagram. And what did I miss out on? What did I miss out on? LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Didn't say Facebook. Or did I? It's a trick. So anyway, I've been up very early this morning. Can you tell? Because I'm already talking rubbish. I've only been on for about 30 seconds. I started at 6 o'clock with a coaching client in Australia, which is fantastic. We had a really good session. But I feel like I'm catching up. I feel like I'm on the back foot. You know what it is like when you've woken up too early? And I wake up early every morning. Don't get me wrong. I wake up very early because I love to get stuff done. So that means that I'm up for about 4:30, 5 o'clock, because the first half an hour or so of me being awake, I'm horrible. I'm just nasty. And the dogs know not to come near me for two reasons. First of all, I've got dog breath, not them. Well, they have as well because of dogs, but I mean, until I have dog breath. But also, I'm grumpy. Oh my goodness. So, because I can't work out whether to be nice to people or not, or nice to dogs, or nice to anybody, because I'm just in this kind of trance state. Now, that's like when you're in hypnosis. Now, if you don't know about hypnosis or hypnotists, I am a hypnotist. And at some point, I'll teach you on one of my shows how to hypnotize people. It's really cool when you know how to do it. But I can tell you that as far as the actual world of Twilight stuff goes, I'm really dopey for the first half an hour. I've got to do a couple of things. I've got to get a glass of water. I've got to have a tablet. It's one of these apple cider vinegar chewy things that apparently settles your stomach. It doesn't. It just makes you go, no, okay, I've had food. And then I need to have a coffee, but I can only have a couple of coffees a day. So if I have a coffee too early, then I peak. And so I peak around about about 8:30. And as you can tell now, it's a little bit later. So I've peaked and gone down. I'm ready to go to sleep. So if in the middle of today's session, I'm talking about something, and halfway through it, I just suddenly go, you know that I fell asleep because I peaked a couple of hours earlier, which explains everything. We've got an incredible show today. I'm so excited about it because I think it's a really important thing to do. It's how to stop work from killing you stone dead, which is a really important subject when you think about it, because the amount of people that are suffering from working from home and remote working, and they are different things, by the way, in case you didn't know. If you're working from home, that means you're taking your job to your house and being there, like when you have a sick day. And you say, oh, I've got toothache, I can't come into work. And they say, don't worry about it, just work from home. And you go, okay, I don't think I can manage to talk either. They say, don't worry about it. They don't say, because they haven't got toothache, you've got toothache. So they say, don't worry about it. And you go, oh, and they say, just finish that project, send it through, and we'll call you. And even though you can't speak properly, just go, for yes, and for no. And you say, yeah, you know? I say, yeah. You know, why not do, for yes, and for no? So because we're not sure what you're saying. So if you do 3, it's ridiculous. It's got to be a yes. Okay. So anyway, we call you later on and check on stuff, and you go, But you can't do that on Zoom, because now they can say to you, let's have a look at your teeth. Show me what hurts. And you go, oh. Say, it looks okay to me. Oh, and suddenly we become a dentist. They're not a dentist, they're your colleague, but it's being nosy. And then we say, what's that behind you? Oh, you had somebody stay over last night, did you? Oh, is that what it is? Is that why you stayed in? And you can't lie about it. You've got to go, of course I had somebody stay over last night. I'm in lockdown. The same people have been staying in for 7 months. think you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, if by some remote chance I stop talking, which is very rare and ridiculous, you'll understand that I suddenly ran out of juice and I ran out of coffee. But I've got my coffee here. This is fantastic, my straight out Wakanda mug. And as I hold it, I've got a special gadget that I use. It's a warmer. Because I found that what I used to do was I'd make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I'd sit up here, hold on. Straight out of Wakanda. And it tastes great. Oh, just... Sorry for the slurpy noise. Hopefully I'm not as loud as I was yesterday. I was very loud yesterday. And people were saying, Dave, my ears are bleeding. Weren't really. But it was a bit loud. So, what was I talking about? Yeah, my coffee holder. If one of the few things I would recommend for you to get in lockdown, it is a coffee warmer, a coffee cup warmer. And it's like a mat. Let me see if I can show it to you. Things I don't want to pick it up for two reasons. First of all, the one is it's warming my coffee very nicely. And secondly, the mat that it's on is really hot. And if I pick it up, I'll probably have melted fingers, like melted cheese all over it. And then I'll have to send it back to Amazon and it'll be a nightmare. So it's basically like a little mat. I've got another mat I can show you here, in case you've never seen a mat before. This is a mat. Yes, this is my friend. His name is actually Matt. So you get one of these, and don't get it confused with being a chocolate biscuit. Doesn't matter what you drink the night before, this is not going to sustain you. All it will do is help you if you had sore teeth by making sure all of them fall out. If you got spit. So anyway, it's like that, but it's got a little ring in the center, and it's got a plug, which you plug into the mains under here. And as a result of that, that means that it keeps my coffee cup warm for about 4 hours, which is brilliant. Because what we used to have before was I'd make myself a cup of coffee and then I'd start doing something. And maybe I'd fall down the rabbit hole of the internet. So I'd start looking at something, shiny object syndrome, you know what it's like. And you're looking at something and go, oh, that's fascinating. Wonder what that's going to be. So you start off by doing something like coronavirus latest. So you put coronavirus latest, and you get it, and then it's got some doctor saying something or the other about coronavirus masks. So you look at it and you go, oh, that doctor's interesting. I wonder what they're from. Because they've got a funny accent. Hello! We're going to wear a mask, aren't they? Hold on. Put this on. Right, this is the same doctor. Dr. Spahandahav, it was called. Unusual name, because I made it up. But like that. My mask is rubbish, he said. No, he didn't. I'm trying to get a makeshift mask for this sketch to work, and it's not working. Right, this is my mask. If I turn the music off, you can probably hear it better. But the music's better because it kind of gives it a Benny Hill feeling, so it doesn't sound like it's such rubbish. Hold on. Okay, that's good. So I'll turn the music up a little bit, so you got no chance of hearing me at all. So this is Dr. Pahandaha, right? Wear your mask, because if you don't wear your mask, you've got no chance of survival, and the bears will get you. Or it'll say something unusual, and you go, what, bears will get you? Which bears? Do you mean bears as in like, bears, or bears as in people who are naked? Because if they come around my house, I mean, the wife won't like it. Well, she maybe will like it. That'd be unusual. But, I mean, bears, So then you go, well, Dr. Kahumbahunder, I wonder where he's from. So you have a look and you Google. Maybe there's a Wikipedia page because they're really famous. Maybe they're a crackpot. And the odds are, if this is what they're calling a mask, which is actually my headscarf, they are a crackpot. So you go, Dr. Wahundu. I wonder how you spell it. So after about half an hour of trying to spell it, you get a name that sort of sounds like Wandhin, and you recognize the picture. Oh, it's So then you turn around and you have a look at where they're from. And you say, oh, that's unusual. Look at their background as a doctor. Studied in Paris at the Sorbonne. That's interesting. So he's a chef. And he's got nothing to do. So he was cooking recipes for medicine before he got into actually doing this job. And he spent time in the jungle. So he's like Tarzan. He's brought up by apes and lions and bears and tigers, which is impossible because you don't get lions and tigers in the same jungle. Because it doesn't work like that. One of them is in India or somewhere, and one of them is probably in Africa. So maybe he was like Tarzan and he had timeshare. So as a little boy being brought up by Wolves, which is a football team in England, who, to be honest with you, having watched them play, they probably couldn't bring themselves up to the first division easily. They're probably there now. So what do I know? I've not watched football for ages. So this guy, Dr. Bahanda was in Africa and not Egypt. Africa's Egypt. Each of Africa. Africa and India, and it was brought up by wild animals, and then somehow got into medicine while he was being a chef, and therefore he's on. I was watching him on CNN this morning, and that's fascinating. And then before you know it, you've actually had 5 days have passed while you've been watching this, and you go, I don't know what's going on. Where did I start this conversation from? And what was the moral of my entire reason for talking? And that's right on the money. So anyway, if you join me, Dave Crane here. Nice to see you. And I know that you've been watching me now for at least how long I've been talking now? Probably about 10 minutes. And you're probably watching my show and saying, why do you exist, Dave? What are you talking about? And why am I still watching? Because it's compulsive bonkers viewing. But more than that, it's all about this, how to work from home. I mentioned it earlier, keep up. So how to stop work from home killing you, stone dead. And it's kind of important because there's a big difference. There's a big difference between a big difference and having a spade in your hand when you're talking about a big difference. There's a big difference between working from home and remote work. And you're going, no, there isn't, Dave. It's the same thing. It's the same thing in practice, but it's not the same thing in principle. What do you mean, Dave? And why am I asking myself questions? Because you're muted. Oh, by the way, I love your thoughts. When you clock on and you're watching, please say hi. It really matters to me because I go, oh, hello, in my mind. I don't say it very often because it clocks at me and it makes me think, you know what? It was worthwhile spending this quality time with people. It was worthwhile being up till 12:30 researching the show. And it was worthwhile sitting here on this seat when I could have been going and watching Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all the way through the box set. Not that I would ever do that because I've been busy. Just saying that that's one of the things I wouldn't have done if I was left to my own devices with a bottle of wine and possibly just chocolates and yeah. So, that's another thing I was going to talk about. Working from home. I should show you a gadget. I've got a gadget. Do you want to see my gadget? It's not one of them gadgets. I don't use that. Ann Summers doesn't deliver. So that's a joke for people who might have got it and anybody else. Google Ann Summers. Really funny joke. Bit risque. Not for this time in the morning. All right. So if you are like me to spend a lot of time in the office and working, I look like I should do this as a proper infomercial, shouldn't I? Hi, my name's Dave. If you're like me and you spend long hours in the office, you should try the special Rumco Back Massagerama. This back massager has been proven by 20 dentists. They wouldn't say 20 dentists. By 20 experts and developed over many years of technology. When you use one of these, they not only massage your back, but they can be heated to make sure that the particular areas of difficulty can be dealt with. Their very special offer starts this week, so if you want to get it, you should start buying it right now. When you switch it on, it's so comfortable. As you talk to people on Zoom, you have to move like that, so everyone thinks you're at some kind of silent disco, but you don't care, because it feels really nice. And then it turns around, and so in the middle of a conversation, while you're talking to your people, you go, ow, 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 and you carry on talking because they have no idea what's really going on. The last time I saw a scene like this was at the end of Police Academy 1, where the commissioner is doing that talk behind the lectern, and if you haven't seen it, and you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a very funny joke, and you've missed it, and actually this is really nice and comfortable. I might keep this on, actually. Apart from the fact, if all the way through today's session you see me going like that, it's not because I've been drinking, and it's not because of any other reason, it's just because this back massage is just really comfy. But if I'm going to do a proper broadcast, I should really switch it off, but it's just too nice to do that with. And, okay, I'm going to be sharing with you about the work-life balance today. I'm going to be talking to you about a number of different things. That includes talking to you about this particular thing. Here we go. I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit later on. Where is it? It's here. Here we go. Ooh. Grooming, pooping, and pacing. It's a survey that was done all about what people really do when they're in a virtual meeting. No, it doesn't mean actually pooping during the meeting, but it's a very interesting survey about what people think, what people say they should be doing, what they say they shouldn't be doing, and if they switch off their camera, what they're probably doing instead. We'll also be spending some time looking at the actual nuts and bolts of how to work from home. without killing yourself stone dead, because it is a real challenge for many people. Some people find it easy, some people find it easier, and some people find it really ridiculous and horrible because they don't like feeling motivated by themselves. They love the idea of being in a crowd and spending quality time and chatting. And I can understand that completely, so we'll be going through that in some depth later on. And I've got to say that if I go like this, oh, mama. Not that my mum ever gave me a massage, she'd probably give me a slap across the head, but this, not domestic violence, don't get me wrong, my mum was never like that, and she's not like that. And she had a birthday the other day, so I can tell you how old she is, but I can't tell you, because then she said to me, don't tell anybody how old I am, and then she'd give me a slap. But it is a nice slap. It's not domestic violence. I mean, I'm 52, what's she going to do? She's like, I can't say how old she is. But it doesn't matter, she can't hit me across the internet anyway, so there. Ow! Wow, didn't expect that. La-di-da. Well, back to the show, thank you very much. It's interesting, and let me switch this off because it's kind of off-putting. As comfortable as it is, I think I'm going to have 24 hours on this seat to be able to use this. I'll finish off the advert. If you want to get hold of the Massage Havumbadedator, created by the doctor who did this earlier in the show, who looked like he was robbing a bank, or he had a chloroform, or he was sniffing underwear, don't go there, then please go to www.havumbadedator, and you can buy it for £27.50, and that's per day. So if you want it for a whole year, you'll have to sell your family and leave the house. Bargain. Take care. So anyway, that's my advert finished. I don't think it's going to take off because it sounded ridiculous and I felt embarrassed doing it, but I had to finish it off because it's one of those compulsive disorder things that people have that I'm just making up. We'll talk about mental health at some point in the future. Right, so getting back to the original conversation, which I hope that I can do, it was all about showing you a clip all about work-life balance. Got two clips to share with you. First of all, what is work-life balance? I've got to make an apology at the first of playing this. The video is actually really, really good. The guy's voice is annoying beyond belief, but I'm sure he's a really nice guy. So I'm apologizing now to Yanis. I like your video. If I put it on silent, I won't know what you're talking about, but I do think it's well worth sharing with everybody, so that's what I'm going to do now. So enjoy this. We're going to be sharing some more stuff. We're going to do this, all about what is work-life balance, then another video about how to make sure that you can get your work-life balance working properly for you, and then we'll go into all the other bits and pieces. I love your thoughts, your feedback, your questions, whatever's working for you. I love you to say hi, where are you, and also mention something lovely. Just mention something really like you care. How are you? You fine today? Yes? No? Okay. In that case, I don't care either.
Hi everyone, it's Yanis here, and in this video we will explore what is work-life balance. We will look at what it is, how does it work, why it's important, and I'll also share some examples to illustrate it. If this is your first time on this channel, then make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to get updates on my latest videos about time management and productivity. Work-life balance is the term used when there is uneven distribution of time between your work and other commitments like personal needs and family. Most often, it's work that consumes all the time, to the point where you barely spend any time with your family. When people don't regulate work-life balance, they often damage their social relationships with their friends and also family life. I think that imbalance is only created when people set up the wrong expectations for themselves and those around them. Of course, if you start a family with your spouse, have kids, and then start to spend all the time at work, then there will be a problem. But if you know that you want to build your personal business and you'll be working a long 14-hour days, then you can just wait with the family part. Or maybe found a spouse who is also busy working all the time, and that will be a perfect match. But as humans, we're not rational thinkers. We like to do things first and then deal with consequences as they come, instead of thinking about them before we take action. If you're in the position where your family is saying that they never see you, then you should start to schedule some time in your calendar. If you want to maintain healthy relationships with your closest friends and your family, then you have to pay attention to your work-life balance and improve it. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I was able to give you a quick overview of what work-life balance is and what role it plays in our life. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you could press the like button, as this will help the video reach more people and spread the message.
Wow, I really enjoyed that video. I'm sure you did, and it's got some really good information in it. The only problem is, as I did mention, lovely Anis, and I think it's Time Management and Productivity is the name of his YouTube channel show, so make sure you subscribe. I will be playing more from them because it was really enjoyable. I think his voice, his videos were nice, and the stuff he said was fair enough, but if you can imagine two sounds had a baby, the sound for the mummy would be the nails, your nails going down a chalkboard, and the sounds for the daddy would be eating crisps. So if those two noises had a baby, I think it would sound a little bit like him. No offense. Say no offense. Of course he's going to be offended. I said a horrible thing. Anyway, I didn't mean offense because it's a really good video. Right, next up, we're going to be looking at the different options. This is a really calming video. So it's got no sound on. It's got just a little bit of music to make you feel chilled out. And hopefully that'll get you in a nice little mood for me to get stuck into the rest of it. I hope you're enjoying the show today. It's Speak on Stage. And as always, we try to make you feel groovy. Are you feeling groovy today? If you do feel groovy, it means I've done my job. Everyone just chill. So there you go, some really cool tips on how to deal better with the challenges that you face with being at home. And one of the things I'll say as well is the videos I'm sharing with you have to be tailored with the fact that they're about work-life balance, but the videos were usually made before people actually went into lockdown, because you can't really get around to making those kind of videos of people sitting at work and doing stuff if nobody's going to work anymore. Interesting to read, and I'll share this with you in a few moments' time. I was reading an article this morning all about how Facebook was dealing with letting us people work from home, because it was kind of halfway there anyway, and we've turned around and let 40,000 people just work from home permanently. I want this session to be about you. I'm not really approaching it from the point of view of corporates, but I know for management that are watching or company owners, there's a lot of stuff that's useful for you with this. If you've got remote staff, one of the things that really hit me that was interesting about Facebook is when they have staff working from different countries, they pay them according to the cost of living in that location. So therefore, if you're paid a certain fee, but you're in a really expensive location because you were going into the office near there, if you decide to move away from there, then you now get paid a different wage related to where you move. Does that make sense to you? That is kind of interesting because it's kind of controversial when you say, but I'm worth this. Said, yeah, but you're moving away from that area to there, so we're going to pay you according to, as opposed to what we paid. And that's kind of interesting in one kind of region. But when you've got staff all over the world where the cost of living is different for everybody, how do you make that work? I reckon you make it work because you're Facebook and you don't really care. You just make it work. So there you go. Not saying we don't care. I'm sure they're really good for the staff. So this one's called grooming, pooping, pacing, and so on. And I'm not even sure if it's going to work because whilst we were talking, I spilt my pineapple juice, this one, all over my phone. So while the video was on, I was mopping it all up, which is fine, but it went on my phone. So there's a very good chance that halfway through it, it might just stop working. So let's get through it as we can. And the cover of it is a bit sticky, I have to say, but what to do? All right, so let's look at a survey that was done about what people are really doing despite the fact they're meant to be in a meeting, a virtual meeting. So the facts are people are most annoyed by having unnecessary meetings. This is about 2,000 people were surveyed, and these are the facts that they found. So people don't like being in meetings if they don't have to be in meetings. And after meetings, they say that could have been done with an email, which works them up even worse. They get frustrated by loud noises, late starts, and technical difficulties. These are the things to think about, especially if you're a boss and you're organizing it. They don't want to be in that meeting. I know they like being paid, and I know you're paying for their time, but have a think about it. And this might apply to you as well. You probably feel the same way. Most states, and this is done in the US, a whopping 20 states are most likely to be checking their emails during meetings. So 20 of the states mentioned the staff were checking their emails all the way through. 12 states say they are multitasking while doing other stuff. Wait, you see what the multitasking is. I'll show you that in a minute. And 50% of workers have 1 to 3 hours of meetings a week, which is tough luck for the 20 people or 20% of people who hate being in meetings. So they have to be in them and they hate it, which makes them more. In fact, I might squeeze. Sorry, my gold bar, anger, and it smells like strawberries. Strawberries and cheesecake. And it also is a great way of smoothing down your moustache without shaving it. Okay, so Rhode Islanders aren't paying attention during meetings, apparently. They're surfing the web for something more interesting than your meeting. So never employ anybody from Rhode Island unless you've got a second webcam to keep an eye on them during the meeting as well. And crunch, crunch, crunch is a sound that 6 states say that people are eating all the way through the meetings. I hate that. It's one of the pet things I hate. When you're talking to somebody and they're eating, especially if the camera's down at the bottom, so you're looking up their nose anyway, and then you're watching them eat at the same time. It's just like, will you stop? How long are meetings going to last? 8 hours? No, can you wait? You don't go into an important boardroom meeting with like sandwiches, so you can wait until we finish this and then go and eat your hamster or whatever you've kept in that cage with like bread on the top and the bottom. If you're a fan of hamsters, I'm really sorry for that kind of joke. I know, it's not fair. It was a gerbil. Alright, so then it goes on about different things that people are trying to do more efficiently while we're doing it. 20% of people surveyed are bold enough to do household chores during the Zoom. So when the sound goes off, they start doing something else. So if the sound was still on, you'd hear them switch on the dishwasher or loading it up, or the pots and pans. 9% apparently are interrupted from the meetings about childcare with a crying kid, obviously, but or maybe crying babysitter. Maybe that's how it works. Get that kid away from me! I hate that kid! It's got 6s on his head. That would be an interesting babysitter. Possibly one you wouldn't employ again, and maybe not the kid. So, other meetings, apparently things that people are doing in other meetings, are that they get frustrated and annoyed with their co-workers. They look after their animals. They look after their own personal grooming. I assume grooming is doing your hair or putting a moustache or getting your mask. You wouldn't wear a mask though in a Zoom meeting unless you're living in a field. Well, even in a field, you wouldn't need to with social distancing built in. So you'd have to be living. Where would you have to be if you wore a mask in a Zoom meeting? You'd have to be in a sauna. But then if you've got a mask on, you're going to sweat. So as you're talking to people, it's going to melt your face like that. And you're going to be, oh. And people are going to have that worst thing. When when people are on a Zoom meeting and they might not, they're wearing like a shirt and tie and stuff, but below the waist, they might be just like in the underpants. Well, if you're in a sauna, you know what's below the waist. Don't go there. Unless you want to go there, if you're married to them. You don't have to be married. I mean, you can do what you want. In fact, do anything you want. All the time. Forget I said anything. Walking around and pacing during meetings, that's kind of annoying. I watch people do that sometimes. You're in a big meeting with like 7, 8, 10 people, whatever, and somebody just gets up and walks off. And they come back and sit down again. No explanation, because you don't need to know, you don't want to know, but you do want to know. Why have you gone? What's wrong with you? Have you got like itchy back syndrome? Have you got my massage thing? The Muhammad massagigator. Don't know. All right, lying in bed, having meetings. Well, that's not the kind of meetings that I work at that company. I'm not going to go there. And watching TV and sleeping and using the bathroom. Can you imagine taking your laptop to the bathroom? Or it's even worse when you just hear the sound come through. The mask goes down, so the camera's switched off. Then you hear a bathroom noise, and at that some point you're thinking, right, okay, too much information, don't really like it. Okay, so therefore, be very careful about your camera, be very careful about your phone. It could be switched on and off, you might have forgotten to do it, and that's not even looking at the fact it can be done remotely. And also be very careful that you haven't got other devices. I mean, when I'm doing my show, I've got loads of different cameras. So I've got a camera here, I've got a camera here, got a camera here, got a camera there, I've got my phone, which I'm pressing buttons on, I've got a camera there. None of these ones I use are just on laptops and stuff, and I've got a big TV because I just like watching Netflix. So all these things have to be, and I've got one here on the laptop. So there's a lot of different options for me to be spied upon. So I have to switch them all off when I want to sit and pick my nose. Too much information, Dave. I have my coffee. You don't pick your nose. You're an official presenter. Okay, sorry. So there we go. And a special shout to Zippia.com for sharing that stuff all about surveys. Couple of things you need to remember, by the way. If you are doing meetings, Zoom or otherwise, then just make sure your camera's at the right angle. If it's coming down and you're like that, you feel like you're a little boy and you're being told off by the teacher, and if it's going up at you like that, then everyone gets to see your bad teeth and gets to see that you really need to shave your nose. How do you shave your nose? Dangerous, isn't it? Ow, bleed, ow, blood, ow, blood, 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 blood. More blood. Probably have to pluck it, in which case you'll never do that in a Zoom meeting because it'd just be ow, ow, ow! Which is a noise you don't really want to have. Next up, we're going to be looking at the actual things that could kill you working from home. Well, not really, but just the things you need to consider when you work from home to make your mind feel better and to feel that you're more relaxed with actually what you've got to deal with. I had an argument with the wife. We do every day. But most of us are love. I love you, I love you, I love you more than you, I love you more than me, I love it. Well, it's never like that because it just doesn't happen. But I shouldn't really talk about this, should I? And now you're intrigued, aren't you? What are you arguing about, Dave? We weren't arguing about anything in particular. It's just, when you love somebody so much and you just keep bumping into them, and just sometimes it's a grumpy thing. And you've seen it on Discovery Channel, where sometimes there's bears and the bear goes, roar, and it just goes like that. It's kind of love tap, but the love tap's got claws on it and it can go, ow! But that's your own fault for marrying a bear. Not that I've married a bear. I haven't married a bear. But no, I can't say that. But... Speak on stage. Right, changing the subject rapidly because I like to live. So, right, so let's get to the bottom line. This is all about how to stop work from killing you when you're working from home. I mentioned this is a bit more serious. I mentioned about working from home is not the same as actually remote working. Remote working means that you've planned it. You know what you're doing. You're an outside entity. You're an entrepreneur. You have a work office set up for actually looking after many clients, or one client, but you're remote working. That's different from, oh my goodness, I've had to go home. It means you've got to reinvent a lot of stuff and look at the things you have around you and make it a purpose-built remote office. Because in many cases, it's not built for that. It's just by accident that you happen to be there with the coronavirus. Well, it's not an accident. I think it was a plan. Somebody somewhere ate a bat. Obvious. So let's share with you. I think it's 10, maybe 11 ways to stop work from actually making you crazy and ultimately leading to your demise. So here we go. This is jobs that are normal jobs if you're working from home, not if you're working from home and you're a doctor that's doing a home clinic, because that would be more dangerous than most of the things, depending on what you're looking at. Okay, so stop overcommitting to deadlines, demands, and Dilbert-related stuff. I say Dilbert-related stuff. You know Dilbert. You've seen Dilbert before, that cartoon about the guy with a massive head, and I think he's got blonde. Oh, back again. It seems to be that I had a blip there with the Wi-Fi, but I'm back, hopefully. So we're talking about Dilbert and the demands of being in a really corporate environment, and I hope that you've caught everything since then and I didn't blip you out too much, because that'd be rather weird if it did. Okay, number 2, understand the boundaries of work and health and relationships. Number 3, understand our boundaries of work, health, and relationships. What is my health? What is my home life? What is my relationship with my family and the people I love? And what's the relationship with the people at work who I like a lot but I don't love? And also, what does work demand of me? They don't own you, and they certainly don't own you at home, but they do demand for that exchange of money for you to actually do something. So that's the bit you've got to work out. Maybe you have to rework that with your boss and decide what actually is work and what is your home time. And if you've got it wrong, you end up with big fat arguments. If you have got it right, then everyone's happy and you can carry on forever. Understand what a weekend means. Weekend means the end of a week. If you do not take a weekend, an end of a week, and you work all the way through the weekends as well, it means that you will go bonkers. Because it seems at first like you're doing a really good job and you're being diligent and putting in the extra effort. But actually what it does means is that everything blurs, and when you become really extra exhausted, you have no idea why you did it like that, and you don't want to do it like that again. But it's just one of those things, and it's kind of difficult to shake off, especially when you've started doing it, because people expect you to do it all the time then, and that's not fair. Number 4, reinvent your work-life balance to involve being at home with your family. And this is so important. Your family are really important. If you're living with your family, if you're on your own, and maybe you need to meet somebody, I don't think it depends on your lockdown. Do you trust somebody to see somebody on a more regular basis? Would you trust them if it's one person to come around and say, hi, how are you? Let's have a coffee. And I'm not just talking about, very hot coffee. I'm not just talking about the coffee. I'm showing you this side, not the other side, because I spilled it running up the stairs and it's got all coffee down. And if I show it to you, hot, like that, you're going to go, oh, you can't really see it, can you? You can see it there. Hey, look. That's where I spilt it. And it looks like I missed my mouth. But I didn't. I ran up the stairs and I almost tripped over a dog. Not our dog. We've got 2 dogs. It's not a random dog in the house. It's one of my normal dogs. So, you need to reinvent yourself with your family, because they have to understand that you've got to go to work, and work has to understand that you're with your family at the same time. And most people do, but every now and again there's a conflict, because especially if you're a hard worker and you're really used to grafting, family's over there and work's over here, when it's all merged together, you need to reclaim that relationship with everybody with good reason. Next one is this one, number 5. Stop putting in unnecessary overtime during your downtime. Basically learn to switch off. Now, if you're at home, sometimes it's okay to put in that extra bit of work, but if you're at home all the time, you need to be able to turn around and say, stop. Now, I've had this conversation with many people, in fact, especially with many partners, not that I've got many partners, that's like, polygamy, is it? I'm not sure. So, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't really have an off switch. You've got to keep working all the time because you don't want to miss an opportunity. But at the same time, you have to be able to step back and say, I've done enough. I've got to switch off. It's a choice you make between a regular wage coming in or a wage as and when it comes, but you create the opportunities. You go out and hunt every day. We don't go out to hunt. You go out in your mind and you hunt. So you have to get the right kind of balance for that. Okay, number 6, don't think about work problems from morning till bedtime. Switch off. I take a break during food. When I sit down with my family for food, we do one big dinner a day, but I sit with my daughter for breakfast, and I sit with my wife for a cup of tea, coffee, catch up later on in the day, or several during the day, and we just chill out. We very rarely talk about work, but my wife and I kind of work in this business now because we've got nowhere else to go. So she works, and we do enjoy the conversations, but when it's dinner time, we don't talk about work at all. It's part of the rules, and you have to do that because otherwise you just go crazy, and they will go crazy because they don't care. It's only you that works, that cares about your work. You know what I mean. Okay, number 7, stop being so available to colleagues when you know it's you time. So don't pick up the phone, don't check the phone, don't do any of that stuff, and let them know. Train people. Say, I'm sorry, I'm with family now. And if you can, tell them the time that you're with your family, so they shouldn't really get onto you and annoy you and bug you during that time. It's kind of very important. Okay, number 8, learn how to unwind, switch off, and find the real you again. Wow, that's a big one. Think about it. When you switch off, are you still the person from work, or are you the brand new you, living in lockdown, dealing with quarantine, coronavirus, reinvention? If that's the case, how easily can you find yourself? Because if you're just used to chilling out and going, you know what, I'm off work now, this is me time, do you really know who you are during that me time? Yeah, I know you know, you look in the mirror, you see yourself, but do you know why you do this? It's important because then you need to have like a Batman and Bruce Wayne. I was going to say Clark Kent. Batman and Clark Kent having an affair. No, the two alter egos. The two are different. And I'm talking superheroes again, but it's important for you to have a work version of you and a you version of you if you want to stay sane anyway. All right, number 9 is this one. Unless the internet goes off again, which is a very possible thing. Get decent sleep without getting mission accomplished. What does that mean? Well, supposing you didn't manage to do all the stuff you planned to do, that's all right. Sometimes you don't do everything you plan to do. Sometimes you just go, I'll call it a timeout. I can start again tomorrow. Why? What's on tomorrow? Nothing. I'm still in the same house, go to the same office, same laptop. It can wait. And this is important for bosses to understand as much as it is for you to negotiate with bosses, and possibly more complex, but it might be easier to explain if you're a remote person working on separate contracts as a freelancer. Because the odds of finishing stuff at the end of the day and getting together and having a chat and going for a drink or going for a meal or having a cigarette together outside or going to the water cooler, it's different now. You need to have clear pathways if that's what you plan to do, or whoever is dealing with it knows that sometimes you're just going back home and you'll come back tomorrow and to leaving you alone until that time. It's important. All right, number 10. Practice de-stressing techniques. Not getting distressed, but de-stressing. So yoga, meditation, hypnosis. The easy one is watching TV. That's the easy one to do. But sometimes if you do something other than that, it's generally better because you feel like you're doing something for yourself, not just going, oh, The Boys is back on. Click. When I say The Boys is a TV show, it's actually one of my favourite shows at the moment, all about rogue superheroes. What would they be like in real life if they had superpowers? So it's got like the Justice League, it's got Homelander that's like Superman, it's got Starlight, it's got The Flash who's A-Train, it's got Maeve who's like Wonder Woman, it's got The Deep who's like Aquaman, and it's got this dodgy character called Black Noir, who looks a bit like Batman, but I know the secret because I found out from the comics. And it's a really interesting watch. And it's not what you think, and it's R-rated, so it's lots of swearing and violence, and it's actually a really good show. And am I giving it away that sometimes on the occasion I don't always work? Don't know. But that's generally how I would chill out. Once a day I allow myself to watch something like that, and it just makes me go, which explains pretty much why sometimes I like to have representations of the things I enjoy. I've been enjoying superheroes since I was very small. I find no reason during lockdown to change that whatsoever. Number 11. Remember, one day you won't be here anymore. You just won't. Life goes on, and so does yours. So one day you'll be somewhere else doing something else, so just see it as an ongoing practice for a while. Just keep putting it off. When you do come out of here, and when you do actually come out, which isn't going to be that long, because the world will change anyway, then you'll find life is just much easier to deal with. Does that make sense to you? Does that sound like it's okay? Let me know. Okay, and the last bit is this. Use so what more often to reframe issues. If something's terrible and you get told off at work or get told off because some project didn't come through, do say so what. Maybe you don't have to say it to your boss. Say it in your mind. So what? If you're an argument with your partner, well, what? But it stops you having a conflict that really ends up with things being terrible. It's the same as in sales. If you don't manage to close a deal, I found the best way to deal with it is just go, all right, next. The client cancels on you, okay, next. You move on to the next client and you start again. Don't dwell on stuff. It's easy to let things stack up like that, in which case when they do stack up, you go a little bit crazy and then you can't shake it off because normally you'd go for a walk or you go and do something else or you go somewhere else, but that's not quite so easy to do when you're stuck in your house, and especially when that kind of stuff is locked down and connected to what you've got, which is the challenge of being in your own place. Does that make sense? Does that mean that you're with me on this? Yes, Dave. Are you sure? Yes, Dave. A bit louder. Yes, Dave. Thank you so much. And I love the way that your voice sounds just like me, because that's a very nice voice, and I didn't even pretend to disguise it. This is Speak on Stage. So with that, it's almost come to the end of the show. I can just tell you this. If you're interested in becoming a great speaker, or you're interested in getting to the top of the food chain in your particular niche, then you should consider the Industry Icon Program. That's what I teach. I train and I mentor and I coach people. That's why I was up at 6 o'clock. That's why my life has been a little bit bonkers today. I say my life, not my wife, because I was going to tell you a story about the domestic we had earlier, and I can't tell you about that. I can tell you about it, but not if I want to wake up tomorrow and do another show. That's simple. So the Industry Icon Program is all about Speak on Stage. If you want to learn to be a great speaker, go to Speak on Stage down that right now. We've got a special offer that I can't tell you about, but it will blow your mind when you see it. It's almost like it's crazy. You just go, what, seriously? That's it, and it's only going to be for this week. So have a look at it and you go, oh my goodness, speakonstage.com. But for everybody else who wants to become much, much better than just an average speaker, which that will give you, and you will be coached by me directly, then what I would recommend is you look at the Industry Icon Program, which is specially created to position you as one of the best in your industry. That's working with me directly. And that's what I was doing at 6 o'clock in the morning with my Australian friend, working through what you need to do to rebrand yourself, what you need to do positioning yourself as a speaker, creating videos, creating content, changing your title, working with all the social media platforms, specifically LinkedIn, looking at the way that you portray yourself, looking at the way that you do imaging of yourself, the optics are everything, and then looking at the way that you can reach above your peers so you become seen as an industry expert or a high achiever. In many cases, that means looking at your title, your job title, looks at the colors that you have when you do your business cards and all the rest of it. Not that we're using business cards for a while, but it might mean creating a vehicle for you that really takes on the best of the media. It might be doing a TV show like this, and we're looking at a sponsor for a show soon as well, by the way. It might mean something different. It might mean that you do a podcast, or you write blogs, or you do a combination of all the above. It might be that you have a certain theme, or you do a daily show that's about 2 minutes long or 30 seconds long. Or it might be a combination of memes that you put together that brand your business and create a relationship with your market. Loads of different ways of doing it, and that's what we concentrate on making for you. So if that's of interest to you, go to speakonstage.com, look for the industry icon bit, and click on that. Once you've clicked on it, then it'll take you to a Calendly link where you can book a 10 to 15 minute conversation with me. And it's at no charge whatsoever. We'll see if it's realistic for you to move on and become a speaker and to brand yourself. Now, I don't look to create speakers. What I look to do is create experts who can speak. Because you know your subject really well, but the odds are most people, 90% of people, have a fear of public speaking. Once you're able to put your head around this properly and you can speak, you have a huge advantage over every single person in your market. And I can promise you from experience, that's what you really need to be able to get more money coming in, more success, more comfort, and also open up new markets that maybe you hadn't considered before. Right now, the world might be in lockdown, but it's also a happy hour for anybody who can do stuff different to anybody else. You have a massive opportunity to really get yourself to the top of the food chain while everyone else is in lockdown, looking at each other, picking their toes, and going, if only things would snap back. They're never going to snap back. That's why you should be doing this stuff right now. So that's it from today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. We're sorry about a little blip that we had with the Wi-Fi. I hope we've managed to fix that and remedy it and make it all groovy and back to normal again. I'll be back same time tomorrow. As always, I love your thoughts. Make sure that you connect to me on all the different platforms. Follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Periscope. Well, don't worry about Periscope. Periscope's good. It leads on to Twitter. But there we go. So, on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. Very important because I've got loads of content on there that I don't share with anybody else. But go to Speak on Stage and check out a ton of different stuff. And you'll see it all there. I'm going to leave you with a really groovy video. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. I'll be back same time tomorrow to talk to you about ways to improve your life, to take you to a brand new level, to get you really excited about things that maybe you hadn't considered before, and also sharing with you some very secret things. I'm not going to talk about the argument I had with the missus because life is too short and mine will be even shorter. On behalf of myself and you, I bid you adieu. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Dave Crane. Come into my world. The world is a challenge. It's going to keep throwing things at you. Once upon a time it was easy. You went to school, you went to work, you did your job, you got a job, and everyone treated you well. You could look after your family, nice home. You could take great holidays. You could do anything you wanted to do, but the game has changed. Once upon a time it was very simple. All the things that we believed that the system told us we could do just don't work anymore. And nobody's told us how to deal with it. This is why we have to start again. We have to reinvent. We have to find a new way to move forward. Once upon a time, you had a safety zone. And in that safety zone, you had a comfort zone. And the world told you that's how it should be. But it's not like that anymore. Your safety zone is over here. That comfort zone is not going to work anymore. The only way you can do it is you learn to speak. You learn to grow your brand. You learn to be independent of the world and let the world come to you. If you keep chasing, it's not going in the same direction that you thought it was. You have to find a way to be the very best you. And when you have, the world will be ready to take you on, look after you, and look after your family at the same time. We've never had such an exciting time to be alive, but it is tricky and it is uncomfortable, but I know that you can do it.